Chris from MMAnews.com, being joined by Brian "Bad Boy" Ebersole here at the 2015 Classic MMA Expo. Brian, I appreciate you taking the time, buddy.
Not a problem. I got all the time in the world. We're stuck in this building for about 8-9 hours today.
All right, first question. What do you think about the Expo so far? How have the fans been treating you?
Oh, the fans are always great. You know, they come out, they get excited, they get big wide eyes, you know what I mean? The autographs, the little things that you can do, especially for like the younger guys. Yeah. It's neat when you see an older guy get that excited. Yeah. You know what I mean? It actually kind of surprises me. But when the kids come up and you can sign something for them and their eyes light up, like I know what it was like. Like some of my favorite gifts from my dad, birthday, Christmas, all that, were just autographed baseballs of Nolan Ryan and things like that that you know you can put up forever, you can forget about, you pull back out. Like when I dig through my stuff after I moved back to the United States, found that baseball. Whoa. Found the Frank Thomas baseball. Ah. You know, I'll pack it away again for another few years till I settle into my nice home. I'll pack it out and actually put it on a shelf, and it'll be like a third time opening the same gift. You know what I mean? So.
Now I got to ask you, now that it's kind of like it's coming full circle now. You appreciated all the autographs back in the day. Now you're the man in the position to give the autographs and be, you know, what the fans want. How does that make you feel?
Oh, privileged in a way. Like to be able to do something so simple by my standards. It doesn't take much time or effort. Yeah. You know what I mean? So to be able to do something so simple and put a smile on someone's face is cool. Now if I can just get my wife to fall in line with that and have her smile on the simple things. I love you, babe. I'm just teasing you.
Now, you mentioned moving back to the States. Now, are you no longer with Tiger Muay Thai out in Thailand?
Yeah, I finished my 2014 contract, and me and the wife decided we wanted to move back to the Western world and settle down. So, yeah, I'm done working at Tiger. I'm still very diplomatic. I'll still, you know, advertise their page, and I get a lot of people ask me like, hey, when I go there, how do I do that? So I still deal with some of those calls almost like as a sales rep, but it's not something where I do it so often that, you know, I'm going to ask for a commission or try to get a job as still like some sort of remote, you know what I mean, sales rep working on a commission for them. But yeah, great place. I hope to get back there, you know what I mean, sooner than later, because I still want to go back and see some of the people, because most people it's a 2-3 year thing. Not many people are going to be out there 5-10 years. There's been a few special people that have hung out that I know that have had like 6, 7, 8 year careers out there. But few and far between. So I'd love to get back in the next year or two and be able to visit the folks I know before eventually they get that itch to move back toward family and in the Western world too.
And you've mentioned previously that you consider the world your home. Am I correct when I say that? And if so, you've traveled the world. You've had the privilege of doing all that. And what's your favorite places that you've traveled other than Thailand and such? I mean, you've been all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much Australian now, so I have to say Australia. It's like California in a sense. Like everything's near the water, everything's fairly beautiful. As a nation, they're pretty wealthy. Like they have a lot of natural resource, and they've done well to keep like the level of living over there pretty high. Their social systems are better than ours. It's kind of like a Canada in a way. You know, like you hear about the health service and things like that. So that and man, anywhere in Asia, honestly, everywhere I've kind of plunked down. The only one that really I didn't enjoy amazing was like Singapore, but that was too clean, too pristine for me. It didn't have the interest. Right. You know what I mean? Everywhere else you go, it's just that little dingy. You look around and you're trying to find clean food in the dirtiest environment. So for me, that contrast is amazing. Yeah.
And you had the privilege to roast the beast, Dan Severn, yesterday. How much of an honor was that for you? I'd imagine you grew up watching him fight. You got in the fight game, and now here you are roasting him at the Expo.
I was actually pretty fun. Like I was nervous coming in, just in the sense that he's a legend. I didn't want to like attack his career as this or that, and I definitely didn't want to get amazingly personal. So I tried to just touch on bits of it, and I kind of compared him to Sylvester Stallone. You know how they burst onto the scene, and they didn't win their first title fight, but they had it, and they earned the respect of the fans, earned their place in the sport. Then they come back in their second showing, they won the title, but then they branched out. Like Stallone started branching out from his Rocky character. Dan went and fought for 472 other promotions. You know what I mean? So we had some fun, but they had some fun parallels in there I was able to play with. And it was absolute honor, and it was exactly what I expected. It was fun, but at the same time nerve-wracking. I had moments where I was up there and loose and having a bit of fun, and then other moments where I was, catch your breath, Brian, catch your breath, it's okay. You know, so the public speaking bug always gets you. No, absolutely fun to be able to chat with like Paul Varlins after. Yeah. I've never met Paul, but he was a San Jose character, and I moved to San Jose to train at AKA. So he says, oh, I trained at AKA before, and blah, blah, blah. And then he moved out. So we had like some similar stories to tell about like people and buildings and places out there. But then just to hear his take on everything else, from like the Art Davy to how he got in, to the kids at his school wrote in and basically fudged his CV, he said. And he kind of got in on 6 months training at some traditional martial arts school. It wasn't a hardcore thing. He was a big dude. Yeah. But once he got in, he's like, well, I'm in, I'll stay. Yeah. You know, and he fought with what he had. And he goes, it's a shame that everything went downhill and they got kind of banned off TV just as I was starting to pick up some skills. I was just starting to actually understand the whole game. Right. You know, so that was a pretty neat bit. And then Zane Frazier today is giving a private lesson just outside my booth to one of my buddies from my hometown. Yeah. All based off of like the talks about kickboxing and Muay Thai and the traditional martial arts of Taekwondo and whatnot, and how they've all swirled and, you know, come together at points and separated and built walls, and, you know, and the UFC's tried to bring the whole striking thing as one art, and each art's still struggling to keep their own identity and things like that. But obviously he had details with characters and folks and whatnot, so it was, just enlightening. You know, I'm not going to remember every detail of everything I heard, but just the general gist of being here is a pretty fantastic experience for me.
Awesome. Now, you had an illustrious career. I mean, you fought a who's who of everybody, and I almost feel like I know the answer to this one, but what fight sticks out most to you in your head?
Well, two. One of them is a fight I had out in New Jersey. M1 brought in the whole MFC, like Red Devil team, to fight a hodgepodge group of Americans. Well, we ended up being a pretty damn good group. It was like Chael Sonnen, Justin Eilers, myself, Chat Lavender, I believe Rich Clementi. So pretty darn good group. Derek Noble. We ended up losing like one fight that night, maybe two. I know Ron Faircloth lost a heavyweight fight. Travis View beat a pretty good guy. And matter of fact, there was a guy on TV last night that won a heavyweight fight against Sean Jordan. I actually went to the hospital with him to get stitches. We were the only two that had to go to the hospital. So that was weird seeing where he's come from that same day. But I fought up at 205, which definitely wasn't my natural weight class, on shorter notice, and against a guy that ended up being like 26-3 at the time. And I had a lot of fights, but I think he had probably a lot of tougher fights because he was a striker. The striking arts, the Taekwondo, and all those titles that he'd won over there doing the sport karate and stuff was probably a lot harder than winning a jiu-jitsu comp against white belts and blue belts at the time over here. So looking at his body of work was a bit daunting, and the fact that he was a big guy. Well, I was in American kickboxing training, so of course I wanted to test on my stand-up. So 2 good rounds on the feet with a pretty staunch guy, and I finished him on the ground with a TKO in the 3rd. But that fight kind of let me know, you know, besides my local area, I can fight pretty talented guys no matter where they come from, no matter what style. So that was kind of one of those breakthrough fights. And the other one was obviously breaking into the UFC as I did.
See, I was actually going to say I thought the most memorable one would be Hallman. I know you've been asked about it tons of times, and Dana gave you the extra bonus for getting him off TV as quick as possible. That's what I was expecting you to say. I mean, I know you've been asked about it several times.
I mean, the whole arrow thing for me was that gimmicky thing where people aren't going to remember my name, but they're going to remember that. And I've got a lot of guys come up and say, my wife saw you on TV and went, what the is he thinking, or what's he doing, or what's that all about? You know, so that quizzical look I knew would have people remembering me. To have someone come out and almost upstage me with the gimmick was a bit of a laugh.
With Speedos, in case you didn't see that fight.
Yeah, well, they were French cut. I mean, they were just a little thin at the top. So, I mean, you could see hip bones and everything. It was just awkward. But, yeah, very memorable. One that's obviously going to be talked about for quite a while. It made that Rob and Big, the skater guy, Rob Dyrdek. Ridiculousness. So I'm getting Facebooks, hey, you're on Ridiculous right now. And I'm like, wow. You know what I mean? Like I said, no one remembers my name, but they'll always remember that little bit. That fight, as soon as it happened, as soon as it was over, I said, people are going to remember this one for a long time. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of love and a lot of laughs.
Now, let's get fun with this. What's on the chest right now? What's the manscape under the shirt now?
Adipose tissue.
So no arrow, no tap out logo at the moment.
No, just the winter jacket.
Just the winter jacket. So what have you been up to since retirement?
I put my money in a couple houses down in Florida. I've got a rental back in my hometown as well. and that had went well. So I figured real estate going to be pretty stable. The stock market scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put my money somewhere where I couldn't really touch it, but somewhere where I could maybe enhance that value and get some leverage toward like taxes and future income and my retirement, because we just don't have a retirement set up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something that everyone's trying to argue about. And now that the slice, that this pie is so big, everyone's trying to find how to slice it up a bit different. And I'm out of the game now. It's not going to benefit me, so I know I'm on my own. And without a college education, like a full-on degree, just to go jump into a career.
Right.
You know, I went to college, but I don't have a degree that's going to get me anywhere. So in the end, this is probably going to be my go.
Yeah.
Whether I have to get another 9-to-5 and work construction or do other stuff on someone's clock for part of the rest of my life, that might be the one. But I'm hoping that this ends up being a really nice savings account. So waking up every morning, swinging a hammer, trying to figure out what to tear down, what to not tear down.
Yeah.
And you know, I got one of the homes, it's a historic home, so I'm tearing stuff out early, a couple months ago, even before my last fight. Now I'm going back going, why didn't I just rip the whole damn wall down? You know, so we end up ripping the whole wall down and doing, doing a bunch of stuff. So yeah, just learning how to do like organic, natural stuff that's productive and build stuff, other than, obviously going out and being destructive and tearing bodies apart and giving physios something to do in their spare time.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate catching up with you.
No problem.
It was amazing. Thank you for your time, Brian.
Enjoy the weekend. Thank you.
Brian Ebersole.